If you're learning GenAI testing and wondering where to start, this video is for you. Hey, I'm Saurav. Welcome to Saurav AI Labs. Now, on this channel, we break down complex GenAI testing concepts into simpler explanations. No fluff, no recycled tutorials, only real learning. I'm an SZ with 10 years of experience and I'm learning GenAI testing in public for 52 weeks. This is week 1 and today we are building an LLM prompt formatter from scratch. Now, if you are a QA or an SDET who doesn't want to blindly follow GenAI testing tools and want to actually understand how it works, you are at the right place. A prompt formatter is going to be our foundation of AI testing. So basically, every interaction with AI would happen via prompt, and string manipulation plays a big part in this. So in this LLM prompt formatter, what we are building is basically a template engine which would handle your basic template, and then there would be validators, cleaners, and utils. So we'll quickly jump in and start creating our prompt formatter from scratch. Now create a directory, basically a project called prompt formatter. Now I'll move to prompt formatter and create a package called prompt formatter underscore formatter. Okay, now for the rest of the files I'll use an ID. So I'm using PyCharm. You can use any ID of your choice. So we have our project prompt formatter and a package called prompt formatter inside it. The prompt formatter would contain is, I've already shared the structure in the readme section of our GenAI testing journey repo. If you would have seen the week 1 project, this is exactly what you have seen. So we have this project structure where we have the templates, validator, cleaner, utils, and basic usage py. Okay, so let's quickly create. So I'll start with the most important one, which is our core template file. And then I'll create utils. We also need cleaners, basically to clean the LLM response. Then you need validators. Okay, so we'll quickly start implementing. Now what this template would do is, it would be of a class called prompt template, and this would have and it would take a template of string now what else it would have, it would also have a method. Basically, if we have a template and we want to replace the placeholders inside the template, right? So it would take keyword arguments, and this would also return a string. So now this would have a return method which would return basically template, but it would replace all the placeholders inside the template. Move to utils. Now what our utils will have is basically a method so this is a method which we are creating, just trying to count a token estimate. Now this would take a text which is a format string and return an int. So to count the token estimate, we would take the length of the text and then we will divide it by any random number. So let's say we are taking it as the 4. So we are estimating each token to be of length 4. Now we have the token estimate. Now what else can we have? We can have format list. So we take a list and we format it. Now this would be a format, basically items, which would be a format list, and then we can also take an input called style of format string and assign a default value as well. Let's say we are assigning it as a numbered. This is optional. This is something I'm doing. You don't have to do this. This is also going to return a string. Now write if style equals to numbered return so now you want to return a numbered one, so we know if we would have to use the enumerate function, and enumerate basically starts from 0, so we would do I plus 1 and then we would place item for I. If we can do another one style called bullet and return simply the same thing without the enumerate, but just adding a bullet. We would use the f string and then we can also have a default, let's say either of this. So we can simply return if anything apart from number or text comes, we would simply return it by joining. Right. So utils completed. We have template. Let's do cleaners. So what would cleaners have? Cleaners basically we are trying to make the LLM response that we do. Because the LLM response sometimes when you do calling an API would be containing lot of spaces, both in between and at the end and the start. So we need two methods here basically. One would be to normalize white space. Now we would take as a test string and we would return a string. So to normalize white space, what we are doing is we take this as a white space and join them. And we would also need something called clean response, basically to remove spaces at the start and end. To do this, same Instead of this, I can do is I can call normalize void space, and I can do a text dot strip to remove the remove basically text or strip to basically strip the white spaces at the front and at the end. So we have implemented cleaners, templates implemented, utils implemented. Let's do validators. Now what would validators do? Validators, we can have a check called max length. Our LLM output contains keywords, certain keywords, and we can also have whether the LLM output is not a white space. This was take string boolean, because we are checking, so we'll return a boolean, and this would be return boolean. And we can have a max length check. Max length, we'll again take a string. We would also need something called max length, which would be a format in it. Then again we would return a boolean length of this, because we are checking max length, right? So length of this should be less than equal to max length. Now we can also have something called validate keywords. This validate keywords can take basically our prompt string, and then we can check whether it has keywords, which would be a list of string, and we would again return. So this would also be like we are using an all method, and then we are using to keyword in text for keyword in keywords. So now we have implemented our this. Now what we are doing is we are going to create a Python file, basically basic usage to test. Now what I have already done here is I already have this handy. I'll simply import, and let's try to run this. Now we are getting an error here. So to fix this error, what we would have to do is we have to create our init file, and in this we would have to define what we want to expose outside this package. So we want to expose our template, and we want to expose the class outside. From cleaners, we want to import our normalize white space, clean response. From utils, we want to expose count token estimate and format as list text. From validators, I want to import validate not empty, validate max length, and also validate keywords, right? So now if I go into my basic usage, if you see that error has gone, because now this we know okay, there is a package called prompt formatter, and we want to import all these methods from it. Now if you see here, we have creating a template here and assigning it to initializing this class with this template, right? So we have an instance of this template. Now we are also having something called dynamic data, what is a role, task, and constraint list. Now what we are doing, we are taking a constraint list and we are formatting the constraint list. If you remember, we had and we are also passing a style called numbered. Now what we would call is like template.fill that we created, basically to replace the values in these templates with this dynamic data, right? And then if you see, we are counting the token estimate, And also we have something called a messy response, where is a white space here and then there is a white space in between. So we are also calling clean response, which internally calls your normalized white space. And then we have this validate response. So we have a keywords called slicing and text. If you see this, we have slicing, we have text. So this should return us is valid. So now let's run this file. Okay. So if you see the output, our test cases ran. So you are a Python expert, and it generated a prompt with replaced. You are a role with a Python expert, explain string slicing. We have constants and see if we have added numbered, which we are getting. If we can add bullet and run this, so you would get bullets like this. And it says estimated tokens, it's getting a clean response, and it says response contains the keyword. Let's say we remove something and add test here and run this. So it says the keyword is false. So with this, our tutorial comes to an end, and hope you were following along and you were able to learn something from this. Thank you. See you in the next video.